With each passing year, the kingdom beneath the mountain grew faster than the year before. New workshops, bridges, mines, and vast underground halls took shape throughout the realm. This was the work of the entire dwarven people. Yet at times, an entire craft was carried forward by one gifted master. One such dwarf was Adrian, son of Beldrin. As a child, Adrian spent most of his days among the trees. High among the branches, he built a small workshop. It was there that he began to fashion his first traps. At first, the animals avoided them with ease. They took the bait without disturbing the hidden workings. And at times, it was Adrian himself who ended up caught in his own snares. Yet, with every failure, his inventions grew more refined. When poachers appeared in the old forest, Adrian turned his knowledge against them. And in time, the creatures of the forest ceased to fear him.
All right then. We go together. Come on, little one. We live here now.
After his people settled, beneath the mountain, Adrian's childhood fascination became his craft. The small traps of the forest became devices of war. In time, Adrian became the first master of traps and mechanisms.
Well, I knew you'd like it.
The recent goblin raids troubled him. They no longer struck at random. Their bands appeared near vital roads, mines, signal posts, and the routes travelled by dwarven merchants. The goblins tested the defences and grew more cautious with every raid. Adrian saw the pattern before most others did. So several of his designs were already nearing completion along the approaches to the capital. Before long, a messenger from Ravenhold arrived in the royal hall. He presented King Veyron with the commander's personal seal. Beside the king stood Taldrin and Adrian. The messenger told them how the goblins had surveyed the fortifications, drawn the defenders away, lured dwarven companies onto ground of their choosing, and turned the dwarves' own decisions against them. The enemy had learned the ways of war. The message confirmed what Adrian had long suspected. He knew then that he had chosen the right course. As soon as the meeting ended, the companies under his command set out to meet the Horde. The goblins had learned to anticipate dwarven tactics, yet Adrian himself remained beyond their reckoning, for the true surprise he had prepared awaited them at the walls of the capital. The dwarves knew little about the Horde, but centuries of enmity had taught them one truth above all. A horde is not born of numbers, it is born of fear. Goblins, orcs, trolls, and other creatures of darkness usually live in small packs. They fight over plunder, turn upon one another, and keep their lairs from growing too large. A small pack is easier to feed. A large one is far harder to keep fed and far harder to hold together. Yet at times, a leader rises among them whom they fear more than hunger, more than their enemies, and even more than death. Then the scattered packs begin to gather. The leader gives them a common purpose, new lands, and the promise of plunder. Their lairs swell. New broods appear, one after another. Each successful raid brings more food, more weapons, and more captives. And every victory allows the Horde to grow faster still. First, lone travelers disappear, then whole roads lie empty. After that, distant settlements begin to fall. And if this growth is not checked in time, a small pack can become, within a few decades, a host capable of threatening entire kingdoms. As the peoples of the light unite before a common threat, so the forces of darkness gather around a will stronger than their own. Over the past century, only a handful of leaders had succeeded in gathering a true horde. The first was the Northern Cyclops, a troll king who brought dozens of mountain tribes beneath his rule. His host reached human lands, but was halted by an alliance of human kingdoms.
We will defend our kingdom!
Later came Skarek Cinderhand, a high goblin who made fire, black powder, and ruin the chief weapons of his horde. It was his horde that seized the mountain that had once been ours and drove our people to seek a new home. But Skarek did not stop there. His horde marched on until it was shattered by an alliance of high elves led by Elentar, the first mage of the White Flame. It seemed the threat had passed, but hordes seldom vanish without a trace. Their remnants lie hidden in dark lands, awaiting a new leader, a new command, and a new war. Now they had gathered once more. The goblins followed a single design. The orcs held their ranks. Even the trolls obeyed commands. And the name of the one who now led the horde was already spreading among the dark tribes. Orzadan, devourer of mountains. This time, the human kingdoms did not stand in its path, nor did the high elven host. Now it fell to us to stop the horde. The Dwarves are a devoted people, devoted to their kindred, their capital, and the mountain. Only by taking their place in the host could they defend all they held most dear. The Dwarven army relied on more than the strength of its armor and the power of its weapons. Its greatest advantage was order. Every dwarf who wished to serve in the army first underwent training, then came the proving. Before senior masters and commanders, each warrior's strength, endurance, speed, and steadiness in formation were put to the proof. Only then was each warrior assigned a place within the host. Each arm of the host bore its own insignia and carried its own history. The very finest became guardians of the crown. They guarded the king, the royal palace, and the most important halls of the capital.
You need to find a wife.
We are at war. A wife? Now?
The hardiest were chosen for the steel wall. They were the heavy infantry of the host, armed with great tower shields and war hammers. In battle, the first rank planted their shields in the earth. The second locked their shields above the first. Thus rose a wall, 2 shields high, almost impossible to break head-on. While the steel wall held the foe, the berserkers struck from the flanks and tore through the enemy ranks. Beside them fought the marksmen, armed with heavy crossbows. Yet even the finest plan was worthless if the command came too late. That was why every large body of troops had at least 2 battlefield stone listeners. During battle, the commander watched the field from above. Beside the commanders stood great tuning forks and plates fashioned from different metals and from stone. The material marked which arm of the host the order was meant for. The number and rhythm of the strokes carried the order itself. Strikes upon iron were meant for the steel wall. Another metal might command the marksman to change position. Amid the clash of arms, most warriors heard only a distant ringing, but the stone listeners discerned every stroke. They carried the orders to the troops under their charge. When needed, they took command themselves, so that the war captain's will was obeyed even at the far edge of the field. Through the language of tuning forks, the dwarven host could change formation almost as one body. But no tactic could replace a warrior able to hold fast when the enemy stood before the shield. Only the most seasoned masters trained such warriors. Among them, one stood above all others. He was known as the First Berserker. He was one of the strongest warriors in the kingdom. An ordinary dwarf needed both hands to wield a 2-handed sword. The First Berserker wielded 2. In open battle, few could endure more than a handful of his blows. Yet his duty was not only to fight. He trained those who were to become the shield and hammer of the dwarven army. In training, he never struck lightly. He did not stay his blade merely because a pupil stood before him. He demanded that every pupil find the strength to rise after every fall. Among his pupils was Prince VIII. The right to teach the future king the arts of war belonged only to the finest warriors of the crown. VIII respected his master, yet he dreaded every new lesson, and he was grateful that his own way of fighting relied upon a shield. The First Berserker fought the prince with the same resolve he would have shown a true enemy. He cared little whether VIII looked skilled with sword and shield. He taught him not to fall after the first blow, not to lose his weapon, not to turn away from a stronger foe, and to survive where a single mistake meant death. Now the training halls of the capital were full once more. The steel wall practiced locking shields.
This must be a tight shield wall!
The berserkers trained to strike through the narrow gaps between the ranks. The marksmen inspected their crossbows. The masters of war engines examined every mechanism. The First Berserker walked between the ranks and watched each warrior in silence. Soon, all of them would face their true trial. This time, it would not be their master standing before them. It would be the Horde, and every blow would be real.
My prince, we are finished.
Then show me.
My prince, this is our final work. We spent 10 days on it.
I am absolutely sure he will like it.
Easy. You are not wearing it now. It's all right, it's all right.
Why does he respond so well to you? Why is he so gentle with you?
Because I've already fed him a whole barrel of the mountain berries he loves so much.
Are there any berries left? We don't have much time.
Of course there are.
When do you think we can begin training him?
I don't know, young prince. We left the armor in his quarters so he can get used to it overnight. We'll try tomorrow. Perhaps he'll be ready then.
We need to move. The goblins are already close. Is everyone here?
No. Baldrin is missing. Where could he be? Most likely still in the mine. We need to go. We need to leave now. Go! Move faster! We'll hold them off! Now fall back to the capital! Move! Into the city! Hurry! Keep moving! Quickly! Goblins are advancing! Faster! Don't stop! Inside! Move inside now! The goblins are coming! Get inside! The goblins are coming! Idrun,
Yes, Father.
are your ballistas working?
Of course they are. But I prepared more than that for the goblins.
From here, I go alone.
At last, I have come to meet you. I know you came by the will of our mountain, and my people feel that call within their hearts. Yet as a father, I fear for my son. Varric is young, but worthy, and he places every soul beneath the mountain before himself. King to king, I beg you, help Varric. Help our mountain cast out its enemy.